topic now. And tomorrow is World Book Day, a day of fun and magic for children around the world. For more than 25 years, pupils and teachers in Scotland have held book-related events, which has involved dressing up as favourite literary characters. The aim of the day has been to allow children the experience of reading together and for them to appreciate owning books of their own. We discussed the importance of inspiring a joy of reading amongst the young with the award-winning children's author Lindsay Littleson. So just tell me, first of all, how important is World Book Day?
Celebrating books is super important, particularly children's books, because we want to get children engaged with books as soon as we can, as early as we can, and to keep them loving books all through their childhood and beyond. So it's very important to celebrate them. For me, World Book Day should really be a month, or, because just it can't all be done in one day. So yeah, we've got our day, so let's celebrate it. But from an author's point of view, it'd be lovely if it was even longer. And you're an award-winning children's writer yourself. You'll be in big demand tomorrow. You going out to visit schools? I am. I'm going to Hutchie Grammar in the morning to do a talk about one of my books, Eurospies. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to Gavinburn Primary, and they have just built a reading hut, and I'm going to be sitting in the reading hut reading to extracts of my book to classes. I mean, the problem is that children are reading less nowadays, according to various reports. I mean, why is it so important for children and their development to read? Reading is crucial, really. It makes such a difference to children's prospects in life. You know, it just makes all the difference in the world. It increases the vocabulary. It is just so vital to get all these skills underway, the literacy skills. Just being able to do the skill of reading is important, but reading for pleasure gives so much more, because you've got it reduces children's anxiety. It makes them feel less lonely if you're feeling a little bit isolated. I always say myself that I went to 3 different primary schools, and I quite often felt like the new girl, felt a bit lonely, felt a bit isolated, and I used books as an escape, somewhere I could go, where I could go into other people's adventures and didn't feel like I was on my own. I had my characters as friends, which was important to me at the time, and I think it can be, you know, and it also helps build empathy, and we really need that in the world nowadays, so yeah. I mean, nowadays, you know, kids have got phones, they've got tablets, you know, something we didn't have when we were younger. But how do you kind of get kids off their screens and get them to actually read? I think the crucial point is that parents and teachers read every day to children. When I was teaching in primary 1, sometimes parents would say, you know, they can read now, they've started to learn to read, so I've backed away from reading aloud to them, and I'd always say, oh no, please keep reading to them, keep on reading, because what they're doing is they're just decoding words. And when you're reading to them, they're really experiencing the enjoyment of the story. And I think reading aloud is the really important thing. Audiobooks, comics, all kinds of ways that we can get children reading. I don't think we need to be snooty about it. So it doesn't really matter what they read, then, comics, whatever. Just encourage reading non-fiction books if they're particularly interested in some kind of subject, get them into reading that way. I mean, in the past, certainly when my kids were little, there was a lot of emphasis on kids dressing up as their favourite character, which was an absolute nightmare. Do you think we put, you know, do you think that's a distraction? I think what I was deeply uncomfortable with was all the costumes appearing in supermarkets, and parents were feeling pressurised perhaps to go out and buy these, and I think people are so busy nowadays with jobs and things like that the idea of making a costume on top of all that might seem far too much. And schools are realising that, and they're kind of backing away from the let's all get dressed up, and talking now of maybe wearing comfortable clothes, bringing soft toys or cushions, wearing pyjamas. Just much less hassle for everyone. Less hassle. We can't let you go without asking you about your books. We've got a few of them there. Yes. What is it you write about? I write about history, Scottish history. I've written a story set in Paisley about the weaving industry and the collapse of the weaving industry, basically, and how that led to disaster in Paisley. There was 2 poorhouses in Paisley, and they were bursting at the seams. You know, there was real poverty, and so my book's about that, and also the Titanic Detective Agency, which that looks fantastic. Published by the wonderful Cranachan Books, and yeah, that's about a real life girl who was on Titanic, a 12-year-old girl called Bertha Watt, who sailed on Titanic, and then it sank.
You're now a Titanic expert, you're saying.
I am. A bit
for
like
any
it.
parents that are watching, what advice would you give to them about getting kids to read? Is it what you were saying, just read to them, encourage them?
Yeah, encourage them. Libraries, I mean, go to the library. You know, when I was a child, I was the eldest of 5, and visits to bookshops were few and far between, but we could go to the library every week, and we chose big piles of books and read them. And you know, I think libraries are wonderful because they do more than just providing books. You know, and some of the independent bookshops as well. You know,
we'll have to leave it there, but Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us. We could talk all night. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all from Scotland Tonight. I'll be here tomorrow at 8:30. Until then, the Scottish Parliament